You laid it out very, very well.
Yes.
Originally, I was getting my signatures for the 26th.
No.
The 26th Senate District. And what you said is so true, because the 17th District, we weren't going to have a candidate. Eileen Chu, who was the Democrat candidate, she was going to just be handed this Senate seat. And it's a seat that I know very well because my kid's middle school is right there on 65th and 12th Avenue, Diker 229 right up here. They kind of cut it out, but the kids from 229 I worked with, and I'm on the Community Education Council, so I've been working in these schools for the last 4 years. I'm working in these 2 schools for the last 8 years. And so, you know, there was an opportunity for me to go into this seat, and I'm allowed to do that because of redistricting. I could have to move in there by December 31st of 2023, which I would do, to be able to make this a competitive seat. And listen, it doesn't matter where we chip away at the supermajority. We just got to chip away at the supermajority. So a Senate seat in 17 is just as good as a Senate seat in 26 or a Senate seat in Staten Island. We just got to try to increase the number of seats that we have in the Republican Party, because right now the Democrats are pushing through one horrible piece of legislation after another. Right? We know about all of the issues with safety that they've done since 2019 and they've pushed through, starting with bail reform, starting with the Less is More Act, starting with just all of these horrible things that they're doing because there's absolutely no opposition up in Albany. Zero. And it's going to be very hard. You know, I know we like to criticize Eric Adams. Eric Adams is trying his best, but you can't just flip a switch because they took away all of the tools that the police used over the last 20 years to try to address crime. And you have crazy woke ADAs like Alvin Bragg, who just, I mean, so I'm working with Lee Zeldin, and of course everyone knows Allison Esposito is a retired inspector from the police department. That's the lieutenant governor. I'm a retired lieutenant in the police department. I retired 5 years ago. My entire career was addressing quality of life and crime in the subway. Every night, Friday night, Saturday night, I'm up there between Grand Street in Manhattan up to 125th Street. I'm looking for bad guys. And when we stop someone for smoking a cigarette, or for beating a fan, or for drinking a beer, we're not picking on them for a minor thing. What we do is we run their name, and we see what kind of a history they have. And if they've been arrested for robbery, if they've been on parole, if they're on probation, if they have a warrant, guess what? You collar them. Because what the heck are they doing there at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night or a Saturday night? They're going to work. They're at work, right? They're looking for victims. And this is like, but right now, they've turned it upside down. The district attorneys will not prosecute theft of service crimes. Theft of service crimes gets somebody out of the system before they victimize another person. Did everybody see that that fight at 125th Street?
The police officer.
The police officer. That was a cop from my command, District 4 in Manhattan.
It was African American too.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, we have a minority police department. U.S. cops, they come from all over the place. They look all different, and it's not about that anymore. It's about law and order versus lawlessness. That's what it's about. And that perp, that 16-year-old perp, had this cop in a headlock. Choking him. Right? And this cop's fighting for his life.
And the woman hit him.
And the woman hit him too, yes. Had the cop fighting with this guy, had the cop put the perp in a headlock, he's getting into trouble.
Yeah, I think it's sued. And
he gets sued.
Now they have to have it's insanity.
Qualified.
Nobody's going to want to do that. They just want to do the 20 years. They just want their 20 and they're going to run for the hills in Florida.
Exactly. I mean, you heard of in medicine something called defensive medicine. That's a doctor will order a whole bunch of tests because he doesn't want to get sued. So now cops are just doing the same exact thing. They're standing around like this, and unless they absolutely have to take action, they're not going to take action. Okay? You can't blame them. But we have to do all of these things to try to get them back. It's not just one thing. And then the city council is not helping because all of the things that we used to use, like public urination, defecation, loitering for selling goods. You see all the peddlers all over the place? They took away the enforcement of peddlers from the police department, and they gave it to whoever they gave it to. Consumer Affairs. Thank you very much. And so this is why you can't do anything with these people. They're clogging up the sidewalks. They're clogging up the subways. And these are tools that we used to use to challenge people and to keep the streets safer, keep the streets cleaner, to try to improve the quality of life among our city.
Now we hired 82,000 IRS guys to do it.
87. Right? Who are they coming after?
Well, they get the small businesses.
Yeah, yes, they're coming after small businesses. But what we do at the state level is if we don't have it at the city level, all of those violations I spoke about, we could put them under the disorderly conduct statute. So disorderly conduct is something that we have up in Albany. We could add public urination. We could add public defecation. We could add littering under that. We could add in the loitering statute upstate. We could add loitering for the purpose of selling goods, counterfeit goods. But I see the gun control bill that they passed. We were at the thing with Ina Vernikova in Marine Park, and Lee Zeldin was there, and Allison Esposito were there, and he said they called a special session of the legislature on Friday morning to address the gun issue. They didn't even have a bill. And they put this flawed bill together that said no firearms in parks. Well, the Adirondacks,
That's a
they
big
have
park.
park.
That's huge. That's like a
Okay?
country.
And they're little towns that are within the Adirondack State Park system. So anybody who legitimately lives in one of those towns inside the park are now committing a crime.
Second Amendment thing. Yeah.
Right.
They want to get rid of guns. Period.
But they want to get rid of the guns. Okay, well, good and well, except here's the thing.
The criminals are going to have guns.
The criminals have the
Yes,
gun,
of course.
and you don't prosecute them. You don't prosecute them. The kid on 125th Street was arrested with a gun, and he was out. It used to be you had a gun, you got a year in jail.
Of course.
So it's still there, but they're not enforcing it. That goes back to Bragg. And I called a press conference because this kid at BJ's, right? This is our neighborhood, Bath Beach, Bensonhurst, our neighborhood. At BJ's, a kid going down the elevator gets a struggle over a backpack, and he gets shot in the face and dies, right? He gets murdered for a backpack. And this guy had a gun on him, right? So when someone tries to do a grand larceny, pull a bag and run, and then the cops catch him, and they find the gun, the DAs will say, well, it's not a violent crime because he didn't use the gun. Well, here's what we're talking about. He had the damn gun on him. It doesn't matter if he used it because he didn't use it because the guy didn't resist. All right? If you have the gun on you, there's a presumption that you intend to use it. Because why the hell else are you going to commit a crime with a gun in your pocket? And that's what the DAs have to do. The DAs have to go back to being district attorneys and not legal aid lawyers. Okay? And there's stuff that we could do on the state level. If we get in, but we need Zeldin. We need to chip away at the supermajority. If we could flip the Senate and get Zeldin, then we could really pressure the Democrat-controlled assembly to come from the far left to back to the middle, right? And that's what I want to do. That's what I emphasize to people. I say, listen, we just want to come back to common sense. We just want to come back to the middle. We're not. We just want to get here because the things that they've been putting into place over the last 4 years, it ain't working.
But they get away with it.
Yeah. They're making people want to flee here.
Nothing to stop them.
How many
They get
people
away
are
with
going
it.
to Florida?
Yeah.
I'm on the school board. We've lost thousands and thousands of kids, even from this District 20.
Texas,
They're leaving public school to go to charter schools. They're leaving public schools to go to parochial schools.
Homeschool also.
They're homeschooling their children. All of
The
this
kids in
stuff.
transgender nonsense. What are you talking? Kids 6 years old. They want to cut their thing.
So I'm on the record as going against all age inappropriate books in the schools. You have to focus on the age inappropriate stuff. Okay, you can see that I'm speaking out against it at the CEC meetings. You can see, but you have to differentiate between speaking out against age inappropriateness and speaking up against transgender people. You have to make that distinction. I'm on the record. I fought against this silliness, what was it? A drag queen story out. Right? They want to do it to kindergarten, drag queen story out. How does anybody think that this is appropriate? Okay?
Vito, how does anybody think that up to 30% of kids and teens in school are self-identifying as trans? You said that to me over the phone. That
You're mistaken.
no, I'm not mistaken. And there's many posts on Facebook that from going back from 2020, and this brings me no pleasure, but you knew this confrontation was coming. This gives me no pleasure, people. He's running as a Republican, but I have to say this. You look at his his Facebook post in 2020, he was putting together an event to try to get NYPD and to try to get police all across the country to go at the same time to wherever they were to sit and to take a knee for George Floyd.
Yep.
Okay? That's what he posted. Vito Labella believes in putting the book Love is Love for kids that talks about two daddies and two mommies. He said to me personally, he believes in, and other people, my friend right here will corroborate this, that he believes in abortion up through 6 months. Okay? He told me on the phone that with his work with the schools, he says up to 25 to 35% of the kids there, kids and teenagers, are self-identifying as transgender, when in the entire population you don't get 25 to 30% of adults who identify as that. So I'm so disappointed in you. I got hooked, line and sinker, the wool over my eyes, like Paul did, like other people, by your campaign managers, George and Heidi, and by you, because you presented yourselves as Republicans. And I'm sorry, Vito, I know you're a nice guy. I thank you for your service as a lieutenant, but I'm sorry, you're basically a woke progressive, and many more of your posts on Facebook and Twitter prove that. And I'm so upset, and more than upset, I'm disappointed. This is why our party doesn't win. Even in New York, I could accept if you were a rhino. I could even accept that. Nicole Maliotakis is a rhino, but she's going to vote with us more times than not. But you're talking about championing leftist, progressive, radical things, weird racial stuff. I just don't understand it. It's very, very disheartening. And for anybody who doesn't believe me, I don't know if he scrubbed his social media by now. Ask Steve, I'll text you all the screenshots. I'm so disappointed, and I'm sorry. You blocked me on Twitter when I said this to you in a comment a few weeks ago. So that's how much of a Republican you are. But your campaign managers, they wanted me, they wanted Paul. I've had things that have gone viral, videos, millions of views online. Other people posting for things that I've done to try to defend President Trump and to try to defend this Constitution. So for you to sit there and say you're a Republican, it's so disappointing and so upsetting. We have enough of these people who are trying to destroy this country on the left. We don't need it on our own side, Vito. We don't. And you know what? You have not one post to say anything. Listen, I don't expect you, because I understand the districts have changed. I don't expect you running around with a MAGA hat. But you have not said one thing. Andrew Cuomo, the most corrupt governor we've had in decades, he even came out and said, what the FBI did under this Department of Justice and under this administration, the Biden administration, they better come up with proof of why they did it. Otherwise, this is a problem. You're a Republican running. I don't expect you in this district to go around and have a MAGA hat on. But how about saying something about how unconstitutional and how anti-American that was?
I agree with you.
You agree? Then where's the post to say it?
This happened yesterday.
No, it happened Monday.
What's today? Wednesday. It happened Monday night, right?
Yeah, but you found time to post about, I think yesterday, about Christopher Columbus Day, Massachusetts. They voted for that. So we'll do Indigenous Day on another day, and we'll do Native American month on the month of November. Okay, but you were talking about in one of your posts last year or so, you're okay with taking down statues of generals.
Excuse me. Can I speak now?
Why not? Well, you're running for office, right? So people should be able to have a back and forth with you. Let's hear it.
We're not having a back and forth.
Well, no, I had to get my point across. Now you defend yourself.
So where do you want to start? I mean,
Where do you want to start? That might be the better answer.
I am a community of parent-elected representative on the Community Education Council. I work in the schools, in public schools. Now, if you raise your children in Catholic schools or parochial schools, then you may not be aware of what's going on in public schools, which is fine. But everything that Dianne says is happening in the public schools right now. I mean, it's in the public schools right now. And the numbers that she's calling out. There's an art school on. Arts off 3rd, 60th Street, and I spoke to the principal there, and she's the one who told me that about 25% of her middle school students come out as trans or bi or homosexual.
Why is that even being a conversation in the school? And why are you wanting to champion that?
Excuse me?
Why are you wanting to champion that? You had put a post that they need to be seen and heard. It is what it is? Oh, it is what it is. Like love is love. But like love is love, Vito, right? Like love is love. The book Love is Love. It is what it is.
We live in a society, we have to accept it.
My sister's gay. I have friends that are gay. I have no problem with gay people. But this is an LGBT agenda that's poisoning the minds of children, and you're going along with it. That's why you're more dangerous than the Democrat who's in the office that you're running against right now.
Well,
sorry.
Okay, so that's just so wrong, because what she's going to do is rubber stamp every single thing out there.
Rubber stamp.
Every far left progressive idea that's there, she's going to be a rubber stamp for those Democrats.
And what are you going to be? We don't know what you're going to be, because you talk a good game, and then, on your social media you say something else.
On the record of the Community Education Council, I'm on the record on Facebook of going toward where we don't want age-inappropriate stuff. We don't want stuff that's not appropriate. I'm the one that was in the New York Post for standing up for the police officers. I'm the one that was called a racist for that. I'm the one that's out there standing up.
So what do you think, you have to appease the far left? So you think you have to appease the far left by saying, well, cops need to all take a knee to honor George Floyd? That doesn't mean, whatever way you want to look at that, that doesn't mean that every police officer around the world should have to take knees. And you think that they should be putting out mental health people to send counselors out. You put this on a social media post that cops should not be going to calls where there's a mental health issue. That should be some kind of counselor. That's what you believe, and that cops need retraining. I don't think cops need retraining.
I'm a police lieutenant. I know about training.
You put a post up about that. You think cops need retraining, and you're a retired lieutenant.
Yes, I was responsible for that.
Well, you're responsible for that. How about be responsible to stand up against the criminals and say that the cops are doing a damn good job? What they don't need is retraining. What they need is more support and backing.
All right, I know. Come on.
Okay, but I have a right to say.
All
right, Phyllis.
But you're screaming and everybody's getting annoyed.
Well, I'm going to get up and leave in a second. But I wanted to defend. And one last thing. You came to the people that were petitioning for you under the guise that Ted Gora, our current leader in Brooklyn GOP, current chairman, that Ted Gora, we're going to stand in front of the BOE and we're going to complain how vicious he is, what he did to Phyllis as a district leader, all of this. And then what happened? As soon as you weren't going to be running against Grenadi's, Ted came along and you and your management ran right to him. After everything he did, just ran right to him. You didn't need Ted Gora's endorsement, but you ran to him. Why? This man here, you were standing shoulder to shoulder with Steve Maresca, running against Ted Gora, yet you and your management went and ran right away to Ted Gora. And you want us to respect what you say? I'm done.
With that.
Listen, everybody, and forgive me, I don't mean to disrespect or disturb anybody. I just had to get this out. I needed to say it publicly because I want people to understand what we're dealing with. And I'm sorry, after what happened to our president and the overreach, the last thing we need is people pulling the wool over our eyes. You got to purge these people out of the party. We can't agree with everybody 100%. We got to purge the people out that are woke progressives coming to us in under the guise of being Republicans. I don't mean to disrespect you, Steve. I told you I would. I appreciate it. All right. I'm sorry, guys. God bless everybody. God bless you too, Vito. But I don't agree with you. How are you? All right. Take it easy.